connecting with the Spirit, or for the gathered community, whatever has brought you to this time, welcome. May you find in this holy hour a strand of being, of becoming, and belonging. The chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It is lit to set this time apart from ordinary time. When lighting this chalice, we connect with thousands of others gathered across the continent just like this, who are lighting similar chalices in their places of gathering this morning. Let our chalice be lit this day. Let us be together in this hour. Today is a service of much singing, and so I invite you to breathe deeply. Exhale. Prepare the voice, prepare the spirit to sing in this place a song of awakening. Wake now my senses. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. Let's sing together. Please be seated.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Ed Novak, and you can use the pronouns he and him if you're going to comment on my lovely singing voice. Welcome to All Souls Church Unitarian, where all people of all races, national origins, creeds, gender identities and expressions, sexual orientations, ages, and abilities, where all people are welcome at this table of love and fellowship. We gather in person and on Zoom from around the world. If you're visiting our sanctuary or Zoom broadcast for the first time, or if you feel like you're still new, maybe you could raise your hand or let the folks know in the Zoom chat so that we can give you an All Souls welcome. Are there visitors? Today we honor the legacies of both indigenous and enslaved peoples at this international crossroads now called Washington, D.C. For generations, Piscataway tribes have been the traditional caretakers of our bioregion. These people of the waters lived along the Anacostia and Potomac rivers. Our church has occupied 3 sites on stolen Native American lands with unjust systems that continue to benefit from Black and immigrant labor. The heritage of all these ancestors is still here in this region and in our congregation. Our commitments to beloved community and the 8th principle set an intention to educate ourselves and take action to repair harm. As we benefited directly and materially from stolen land and labor, the descendants of this wrong can benefit directly and materially from our time, talent, and treasure. The All Souls Social Justice Ministry is working to show us a path forward. We're so glad you're here today, online and in person. If you're in the sanctuary, you can greet each other after the service during coffee hour in Reed Lobby to your left. Again, welcome to All Souls.
It is a good day to be at All Souls with the gathered people. Just take a moment to check out, to see who is here with us in the room. These are the gathered community. These are our people we breathe with in this place and we breathe in solidarity with online. All of us gathered together. This service has many, many songs. Our summer pickup choir, who is here with us, is not in the front today, but is instead spread throughout the congregation. Would you raise your hand, summer pickup choir? There are. They are everywhere. Yes. So they and I would like to teach you this next song by composer Leah Morris. Leah began sharing songs taught in the oral tradition during the shutdowns of 2020. This song is from March 2020. Leah Morris says that this song, called Heart Wide Open, is in the style of a chant by Sweet Honey in the Rock, an ensemble with deep connections to this sanctuary and to Dr. Isai Bonwo. The song goes like this, and I'll teach it to you line by line. Keep your heart wide open. Your turn. Keep your heart wide open. Though the waves want to push you around. Your turn. Though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your heart wide open. You've got to keep your heart wide open until your faith brings you back to solid ground. Until your faith brings you back to solid ground. So without too much PTSD, think about where you were in March of 2020 and what this song might have meant at that time, coming online, coming with creativity by Leah Morris, or think about anything in your life that this song could help with now. It goes like this. We'll sing it a number of times until the Spirit really starts moving. How many times will we sing it? I don't know. We'll find out. Keep your heart wide open till the waves come to push you around. You've got to Some people have harmonies in themselves that are just aching to be explored. Some people are like, oh my God, don't make me sing harmony. But all of it is welcome. 1, 2. You got to keep your heart wide open. You got to keep your heart wide open. Till faith brings me back to solid ground. One last time. Here we go. You got to keep your heart wide open. Waves that push you around. You got to keep your heart wide open until your faith brings you back. Till your faith brings you back to solid. That's right.
Morning. My name is Laura Cross. I am the Director of Religious Education here at All Souls. And today I have a story for all ages that is a story about a story. We Keith and I talked about stories. It's also
Try again. Just talk again.
Okay.
Yay!
All right. Let me try this again. All right. I'm Laura Prophet. I am the Director of Religious Education here at All Souls Church. And our story today is actually the story about a story. When Keith and I discussed what we wanted to do for this story, we thought that telling the story behind the song Sia Hamba would be interesting, especially since that's the song that we sing the children out to. And I thought I knew the story, at least the basics, and I thought it would be a pretty quick story to write, but I was wrong. So the story I know about Sia Hamba comes from my experience growing up in the 80s and 90s in a white Protestant church and community. I remember learning the song in high school, and I remember being taught that this was a song from South Africa that was used to protest against apartheid. And apartheid, for the younger folks here, is the word we use to describe the legal discrimination and segregation that was experienced by non-white people in South Africa for around 50 years and probably longer in the 1900s. We learned the song, we sang it, we felt like we were part of a worldwide protest against discrimination. We learned about what apartheid was because of the song. And it definitely helped me, as a 16-year-old in rural Virginia, become more aware of the world outside of the US. But the story I thought was the story was not actually right. And that happens with stories sometimes. When we pass tales or experiences on from person to person, a detail changes or a small part gets left out. And over time, the story becomes something that doesn't resemble the actual thing that happened. It's pretty tricky. So I started doing research on Sia Hamba and learned some really interesting things. And now I have more questions about the song than I did when I started. Here are some of the things that I learned this week that made me go, So the song is actually credited, at least in the Western world, Europe and America, to a Dutch man living in South Africa. He is credited and holds the copyright for composing the song. But we don't know that he actually did that. He likely wrote down a song he heard some people, probably those native to that area of South Africa, the Zulu people, singing. The melody actually has more in common with African patterns of singing than it does with European or Christian patterns. Does writing something down that you heard other people singing make you the creator of a song? Does getting to something first make you the owner? And I think a lot of people, children included, would argue that point. We don't know, actually, how old the melody is. We don't know how old the Zulu lyrics of the song are. We know that Europeans and North Americans learned about the song in the 1950s, but it likely existed long before that. Comes to the second question of, does a song only start to exist when it's written down? Does a song or an idea need to be recognized by people who speak English, or people who are Western, or people who are white for it to be real? Finally, I was told that the song was used in South Africa to protest against apartheid. Actually, it wasn't. It was a hymn that was sung in churches. It was only when the song came to Europe and North America and was adopted by Christian churches was it tied to the anti-apartheid movement. And it was mostly tied and associated with the anti-apartheid movement in North America. But since its adoption, the song has gone on to become a standard protest song. The lyrics have been rewritten in many languages. Many groups all over the world have used it. And that's great, because music can bring us together and move us forward in a way that plain old talking can't. I think, though, that we owe it to the people who originally created this song to tell the accurate story, to acknowledge that the easy story isn't necessarily the correct story, and to recognize the role that the colonization of South Africa and white supremacy played in our learning about this song. I mentioned earlier that only one copyright is held for the lyrics to Siyahamba, and that copyright is for the Afrikaans lyrics, the lyrics of the language spoken by the Dutch in South Africa. That means that the family of the Dutch man who wrote down what he likely heard Zulu people singing received money for the use of this song and the creativity and the experience of the folks who sang it first. These are all thoughts I had this week, and I don't have any great conclusion. I just have questions. Okay, maybe I do have a conclusion, and that is to ask the questions. If the story seems too easy, too neat, ask what's missing. What do I not know? Because being you means being willing to ask questions and seek out those answers. We don't have to stay with only one story. We get to change and learn and do different things as we learn more. That's the great thing about our faith. So, you might think about today, what questions do you have to ask? So that was definitely a story for all ages, not just children. But now we're going to sing the children out to Siyahamba. We can think about that while we sing. We're going to exit to your right, and we are going to the gym today.
My name is Tracy Hughes Trotter. I have the honor of serving as the Executive Director here at All Souls, and this morning I will be serving as your liturgist. We have a few announcements this morning, and first and foremost, the religious education registration for the new church year is now open. Religious education families must register their children to attend all classes and activities for this upcoming church year. And I think all of you know that we are in an election year. All Souls has a project of a different name, but it has been running for quite some time. It is not Project 2025, it is the READ Project. And if you are so inclined, you can volunteer with the READ Project for phone banking. Join All Souls in the Center for Common Ground for some good old-fashioned phone banking on Tuesday evenings. And our developmental minister, Reverend Anastasia Zinke, would love to get to know all of you better. She is organizing what we are calling Launch Week, and Launch Week is going to begin August 25th and run through September 1st. It is open to anyone in the congregation. You can come, speak to her. It's really just a listening session for her. So these are just a few of the happenings here at All Souls, and you can learn about all of these events by going to the All Souls website or looking in your e-newsletter. And if you've not signed up for the e-newsletter, be sure to do that because it's chock full of a lot of information every week. There's so much happening at All Souls that it's hard to get into these announcements every Sunday, so I really encourage you to sign up for the newsletter. We turn now to congregational care. We're overjoyed to share that Callie Ordorn welcomed her daughter Annika into the world on July 21st. So congratulations, Callie. Mom and baby are both doing well and spending a few months with family in Minnesota. They look forward to meeting everyone at All Souls sometime this winter. We offer our support to Saul Ozula as they navigate the uncertainty and frustration of a job layoff for a job they held for 3 years. We send prayers and healing and comfort to Jack and Janet Powers. Jack has been hospitalized in Salisbury, Maryland to address a kidney stone and related infection. And Janet, of course, is by his side. And we extend our love and condolences to Peter Montgomery and his husband, Dan Vera, as they grieve following the loss of their beloved dog and longtime companion, Blossom. Caring cards will be available to sign after the service in Reeb Lobby. We now invite you to lift up the names that you are carrying on your hearts this morning. And if you're joining us on Zoom, you're welcome to share in the chat. Will you pray with me? Spirit of life, God of many names, the one of our being and our becoming, be with us this morning. There are joys and sorrows resting on the hearts gathered here in the sanctuary today. Hear our prayers spoken aloud from the deepest recesses of our souls. We give thanks for the gift of music. We give thanks for the gift of song. And even when we don't know the melody or have never heard the words, we know that music pulls us into a knowing and a collective understanding of the divine in and among us. It is that universal language of grace and love that is offered in every musical note that summons us to happiness, justice, lament, and yes, to dance. All that is required is a heart that will listen. May we hear you today. May we hear you today. Amen.
Standing on the side of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are standing on the side of love. Do you know this song? This song was written as a marriage equality song in 2004. 20 years ago, I'm just going to pause a second. 2004 was 20 years ago. The song is found in the Teal hymnal, Singing the Journey, published in 2005. Today is a service about songs and stories, and so there is a story about how this song came into existence and then how it is transformed. In 2004, there was a group of musicians and clergy working to create this very hymnal, Singing the Journey. This musician-clergy collaboration had gathered for a meeting at the Unitarian Universalist Association, UUA, in Boston, Massachusetts. They were busy reviewing potential new songs for the upcoming Teal hymnal. There was a lot of excitement and energy. All of a sudden, while our musicians and clergy were working on this, there was a great activity in the UUA offices that day. President at the time of the US, President Bush, had just endorsed a constitutional amendment banning same-sex marriage. Do you remember this? Anyone remember this? 2004. Phones were ringing, communication was flying. The UUA president at that time Reverend Bill Sinkford, All Souls' recent transitional minister. Reverend Sinkford was on the phone speaking to an interviewer about the UUA's position on this amendment. Where do we stand? He said. We stand on the side of love. Composer Jason Shelton, who was a UU musician and chair of this hymnal commission, he was at that moment, happened to be in Bill's office at that time, listening to the phone conversation. Upon hearing these words, we stand on the side of love, he almost immediately began listening to music form in his head. Over the next few days, he worked out the verses and the music to the song, Standing on the Side of Love. It's a testament to the power of love and commitment, regardless of gender, in a time when marriage equality was hotly debated. This song became a hit. We have hits in the world of Unitarian Universalism. The slogan, Standing on the Side of Love, became the motto of the Unitarian Universalist Association's outreach and justice campaigns. Thousands of yellow shirts emblazoned with Standing on the Side of Love were worn at public witness events. And we, Unitarian Universalists, became known in some circles as the yellow shirt people. I learned this very morning that in 2014, when Reverend William Barber was holding Moral Mondays, that a bus load of about 5 buses of All Souls members, yellow shirts in hand, All Souls banner, traveled to march in some of the Moral Mondays with Reverend Barber. Was anyone here a part of that? Yes, look at that. Folks were here. Thank you. It was an important symbol of Unitarian Universalism, a message of justice where we stood. However, as time went on, Jason, the composer and author, began to hear from some of our own beloveds. Some who said, we love the message of marriage equality. It is so important. We love that there is a campaign about this song. And yet, we, by the nature of and condition of our own bodies, we are not able to stand. And it wouldn't be so bad. We could live with the song, except for all of the messages we constantly hear about standing, about moving, both in this song and over in the world. Ultimately, we do not feel included. What would you do if you had written such a thing? Jason listened, digested, he pondered, and he prayed, and ultimately responded with lyrics that let go of ableist and non-inclusive language. Instead of we are standing on the side of love, we are answering the call of love. Not only does that line remove the word standing, it eliminates the notion of a side, one side or another. And as Jason indicated when talking about this, answering the call of love is better theology. We are moving, we are flowing to whatever love requires of us, which may change over time. This story is the story of music responding to the moment, of our own faith calling into existence a song, and then asking for that song to change as we learn more about the impact on our own people. Keeping all of this in mind, you are invited to let your body guide you, moving, sitting, rising in body or spirit, to however you might join in singing the first verse and chorus of this song, answering the call of love. We'll sing the first verse and chorus. The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide. And so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. Oh, as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are answering the call of love. It's still a song we can sing as a witness. Singing together, singing with one another gives people a sense of who they are and how they belong. All around the world, many traditions, people join together in a participatory, life-affirming practice. Songs exist as part of culture and history, and they are passed down as a record, marking meaning and relationship. In many, many global traditions, everyone sings. That's everyone. Everyone sings. The singing might be combined with movement or rhythm, but the generations are together, and the practice is communal. This practice contrasts with the idea of performer and audience, of the expert who proclaims and the appreciator who listens. Now, don't get me wrong. I have degrees in piano performance, choral conducting. I love making music with highly skilled musical collaborators, the process of rehearsing, preparing, refining the work, being an artisan, appreciating the sound, and yes, performing music. This is a very rewarding endeavor. And I, as a listener on the other side, I myself have been moved to tears by rarefied music in religious settings. It has even changed the very direction of my life. But we here, at its heart, are a faith community. It is the singing together by the people, this singing that lets all of us know that we're part of the same experience and tradition, connected to one another. 3 examples of singing binding people together. First, in India, at Parmarth Ashram, which is a religious community on the Ganges River, Hindu pilgrims gather every evening from across the country. They gather to celebrate the sunset in an arti, or fire ceremony. Imagine hundreds of people, most of whom do not know each other, gathering on the banks of the river. And even though they don't know one another, they know the same songs, giving them an instant relationship, a key to a sacred well. Closer to home, here's a question for you. How do you know that you have been to an All Souls Christmas Eve service? Like, what is it about that service that lets you know we had Christmas Eve and it was here? Is it the reading from Luke? Is it an organ prelude? A homily about the birth of a child? In my view, you could have all of those things, but if the service didn't end with lighting candles and singing Silent Night, then it wouldn't be Christmas Eve. The last example, singing connecting us. At All Souls, the decision was made many years ago to sing Spirit of Life each Sunday in both Spanish and English. Some of you were here in the before times, before that was the weekly practice, and some of you were here when it started. This practice connects us to those singing that very song. It's a Unitarian Universalist song across the country and the world, with everyone singing today. It connects us with those yet to come who have not yet sung it. Unitarianism, Universalism, and Unitarian Universalism have many collections of songs and hymnals. Here are a few. Currently in the pews at All Souls sits the hardbound book, Singing the Living Tradition. Published in 1993, it was the first hardbound UU hymnal to intentionally use inclusive, non-sexist language, as well as incorporate music from multiple world traditions. Prior to this, the Unitarian Universalists hymnal was, anyone here before 1993? Do you remember the name of the hymnal? You get extra trivia points if you do it. Type it in the chat if you're at home and you know it. It was called Hymns for the Celebration of Life. It's a great title, Hymns for the Celebration of Life, published in 1964. This was the first hymnal of the newly merged Unitarians and Universalists. We still have a stash of them in the closet behind the organ. Moving ahead in time, now the UUA published this teal hymnal, which I mentioned before, Singing the Journey, to enliven UU worship with contemporary songs. We also have Las Voces del Camino, or The Voices of the Journey, a 2009 Spanish language supplement to Singing the Living Tradition. So, when was that last hardback hymnal published? 1993. It's been 31 years since the previous published hardback hymnal, and usually there's one every 25 to 30 years. A person could wonder if there's going to be another hymnal coming up soon. And the answer is, there's currently in the works a new virtual hymnal. According to the UUA, the new virtual hymnal will be an ever-changing, regularly updated online collection of hymns, songs, and chants, and other musical resources. All of these shifts in printed and virtual formats, the very fact that we don't have a hymnal from 1695 that we're still using, all of these things say that our singing tradition is a living tradition. Case in point on how a text or chant can change. There is a love. Last week, we sang a chant, There is a Love, words and music by Rebecca Parker. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all we love. There is a love holding all we rest in this love. That song has been sung many times at All Souls. I have known these words for many years now, but I did not know that melody personally until arriving at All Souls last year. The chant, as I have sung it for years, same words, was written by Elizabeth Norton, a UU musician from Concord, Massachusetts. I am looking up at our sound booth. Do we have sound for a video or no? Maybe? Okay, so we are going to see a short video by Elizabeth Norton, who I saw last week in Albuquerque and asked her to say a few words of this. If there's no sound, then I will share essentially what she's sharing. So here's Elizabeth Norton. What do you say to us?
Hi, my name is Beth Norton, and I serve as the Director of Music Ministry to First Parish in Concord, Massachusetts. I was first introduced to Rebecca Parker's meditation, There is a love holding me, there is a love holding all that I love, there is a love holding all, I rest in this love, by a good friend who'd been to a workshop with Reverend Dr. Parker, and it had been meaningful to her, and she passed it on to me. And it was at a time where it really turned out to be a wonderful meditation for me to do each day. And I would say it to myself as I walked. And often, as it is with texts that sort of become a part of me, I eventually began to sing it. And after I would sing it with myself for a while, I thought, gee, maybe I should write this down. And so I did write it down. And then I thought, well, maybe I should share it. And so I got in touch with Rebecca Parker, sent her my setting of it, not knowing that she had already made a musical setting of the words, and she never actually told me that. She said, yes, absolutely, you're welcome to use those words, but take out the middle verse. And I had written, there's a love holding me, and then a verse, there's a love holding you, and then there's a love holding us, like the metta meditation. And she pointed out that the you didn't really fit theologically with her idea, that it's concentric circles of love, it's a surrounding love. And to sing there is a love holding you takes the singer and it takes you out of that concentric circle. And so I did that, and I did share it, and it spread, which is a wonderful thing. And I hear about people singing it as a lullaby to their children, or in their meditations in church, and I'm delighted that it has gone the way it has gone. It has traveled as it has traveled. I feel like it came as a gift to me, and I feel like I've sent it out into the world as a gift.
There is love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There's a love holding us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest. We rest. There's a love holding us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love. We rest in this love. Lovely. The last song I have a story for today, and that I hope that as time unfolds, we have more opportunities to share the stories of our music. This one is about the chant. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. This song was written by UU musician Sarah Dan Jones. We sang this chant last week with words familiar to many UU congregations. What might not be known is that this meditation is just the chorus of a larger song, When I Breathe In. It was written over 20 years ago as a musical response to the attacks on September 11th, 2001. Here is Sarah Dan talking about how this song came to be.
Hi, my name is Sarah Dan Jones, and I'm the Director of Music at Star King Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Plymouth, New Hampshire. I wrote Meditation on Breathing right after September 11th. It actually is the chorus of a much longer song that has verses, but when we submitted music for the new hymnal, at that time the new hymnals, Singing the Journey, Susan Peck asked me to submit that song, and she helped me typeset it so that it looks like what it looks like in the hymnal. The song has taken a life of its own, most definitely. It's been used at peace rallies, it's been used by parents to calm their kids down. It's been used in all kind of meditation circles. So it's taken a life on its own, and I'm proud of that. So I implore you to breathe in peace and breathe out love and sing with all your heart. Thank you.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. One long day of terror is etched upon my heart. When I reflect on the shock that I felt as I cried and watched the world fall apart, making sense of evil is no small task. Yes, some would say, let's bomb them to hell. But before we do, we should look at our own past. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. At times I feel bewildered, like I'm lost in a dream. I search for hope in the meaning of truth as I close my eyes and I focus on peace. Fear's a heavy feeling, it can eat you alive. But it can't run and it can't hide. If you breathe the words, then you'll know you'll survive. Breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I'm feeling hopeless and out of control, I clear my mind as I think on a cure, and I center in as I make love my goal. Is war really an answer? Can we find those to blame? All we are saying is give peace a chance. And I pray to God as I sing this refrain. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. I'll breathe out love. I'll breathe out love. I'll breathe out love. May the stories and the songs echo in our hearts. Amen.
When they were younger, my daughters often told me to stop singing in their presence. No sing-alongs, no family karaoke. Stop, Dad! The constant refrain. I was allowed to sing in the car when I was driving by myself. I was heartbroken because I love to sing, and because singing is a healing balm. So do you know where I have always had permission to sing? Right here in our sanctuary. Sometimes singing with you in this place is the high point of my week. sermon, of course. Do you like to sing? Or are you incapable of carrying a tune? Either way, each and every week we are privileged. Privileged to be bathed in the healing and inspiring sounds of the All Souls choirs and musicians. As you consider how to support All Souls financially, I ask you to consider all the ways your life is supported and strengthened by the music you hear within these walls. Additionally, this month we have been sharing 50% of our non-pledge plate offering with the All Souls Emergency Fund. All Souls is an economically diverse congregation. This fund is used to help All Souls members with housing, utilities, food, transportation, or other critical needs during tough times. Although the amounts given are limited, occasional direct financial support is an important aspect of the care we show each other. So I have a happy ending. Now my adult daughters will allow me to sing with them. I don't know why, but I accept their change of heart. If you're in the sanctuary, the ushers will be passing the plate for our offering. You can also text to All Souls by sending ASCU to 73256. If you're on Zoom, click the link in the chat, which will direct you to All Souls online giving. Thank you for your caring and generosity. Today's offering will now be gratefully taken and received.
Thank you, Leo Watson, and all best wishes as you travel to Kentucky to college next week. On this day, may you find a song that sustains you. Our singing tradition is a living tradition. The song mashup that we are singing to conclude today's service is both parts a traditional 4-part hymn tune that moves into a contemporary style You can find the music with the 4-part chorale in your hymnal. It's number 166. And then after that first verse, it changes right into a song about being connected and interconnectedness with the planet, Blue Boat Home. With all of this, all of the music in this place, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, singing together. The service is ended. Would you please greet all the beautiful singing people around you?